What's going on, everybody? A couple of really interesting things have come out about the comic book industry, and I want to go over those. Like I've said in the past couple of videos, I think one of the most interesting things going on right now is watching the comic book industry because it's really on the verge of collapse. It doesn't have the money like bigger entertainment industries, and it hasn't been doing well even before everything that's going on right now has happened. So there's a lot to talk about with comic books. Comic book pros are still doubling down on treating fans terribly. You have Diamond about to fold, and DC and Marvel potentially not going ahead with their digital comic book plan. So we're going to get into everything that's going on. Also, that crazy She-Hulk writer, well, she's came out again with a stupid hot take. This time she managed to irritate people on her side of the fence, which I find absolutely hilarious. And because of that, she ended up deleting her tweets. So let's get into that. But first, we've got to check in with New Warriors, now sitting at 186,000 dislikes. Absolutely amazing to watch the internet come together to hate something that is so stupid. Maybe they can use some experimental internet gas to make this go away. I don't know. That could help. But anyway, New Warriors doing terribly. Gotham High also doing pretty bad at 18K. Though I will say, Gotham High, I don't think anywhere near as bad as New Warriors. Both are crap. Both are unneeded. But I don't think anything as bad as New Warriors has ever existed in comics. This is definitely, in my opinion, the top dog of cringe. So the biggest thing I want to get into is this. Diamond warns of cash flow problems. Halt payment to vendors. This is actually a really big deal. Okay. Diamond has a monopoly on distributing comics. So your comic shop gets everything from Diamond. Image, Marvel, DC, Boom Studios. All of them send their comic books to Diamond. Then Diamond sends them all to comic book shops and whoever. So the reason this is a big deal is Diamond's broke. It kind of looks like they're broke and they might fold. If Diamond folds, even if everything were to clear up tomorrow, right? Let's say everything, there's the magic cure. Everything's fine. Everybody go back to your normal lives. The comic book industry would still be in trouble because now who's going to ship comics to comic book shops? The system is gone at that point. And honestly, in my opinion, it was stupid to let Diamond have a monopoly on shipping books. And they're paying the price now, almost to the point where this could ruin the comic book industry. We'll see what happens. I hope I would like to see Diamond fold, to be honest. And if there's one good bright side of all of this, if the comic shops can come out of this, is maybe we'll get another way for comics to be distributed and Diamond can get out of here. Diamond is terrible. They're not a very good company. They don't have a very good service, at least from what I understand, people I talk to, unless you have a really good rep. But for the most part, the biggest problem is their billing, the way they ship books. There's a good channel on YouTube. This guy unpacks all of his comics, and most of the time, half of them are damaged and all kinds of stuff because they have a bunch of clowns working in their warehouse that don't for some reason you'd think would understand that comics are very fragile. Maybe you need to be careful because people, I definitely don't want a comic with a bunch of corners all bent in and stuff. But nonetheless, it's actually more of a problem than you would think it is. So let's go over this. Diamond Comic Distributors is holding previously scheduled payments to its vendors this week, attributing their decision to cash flow difficulties due to what's going on. I can't talk about its impact on the supply chain. In a letter to Stan Heidman, the president of Diamond's parent company, Jeppe Family Enterprises, the distributor explains to its vendors that they are no longer receiving consistent payment from our customers and that as a result, they will hold payments to vendors previously scheduled to release this week. For the layman, Diamond's customers are direct market or specialty comic book shops, mail order services, bookstores, and other retail operations who buy discounted products from the distributor to sell to their customers. Vendors are the comic book publishers and manufacturers of games, toys, collectibles, etc., who depend on Diamond to distribute those products to retail stores. And then we have the full letter right here, which if you want to pause the screen, you can read over and see for yourself. So this is a very big deal. This is a very big deal. If Diamond was still going, comic book shops, like I said, could do curbside pickups and ship comics to you. The industry could still somewhat limp on. But this was a big thorn in the side of everybody. So from what I understand, Image, DC, Marvel are all working on ways to get comics to shops themselves, which could see comic book shops kind of somewhat partially reopen. But unless they can figure out a way to do this quickly, I don't know. Everyone's waiting on that bailout money. We'll see what happens. But Diamond could potentially fold. And if the comic book industry survives everything, I think that this would be a good thing to happen. Diamond is not very good. A bunch of clowns. They've always been a bunch of clowns. And I think it would be nice. You know, if we could get things going again, you could maybe see comics back in stores. Like DC Comics has comic books at Walmart. They're there. There's giant size issues. They put a bunch of older comics in there for a value price. It's just a thought. It's something you could see, but I'd like to see the shops get reopened so they don't fold. That's kind of the biggest thing. A couple of just fold. I think like last week, like 3 or 4 of them fold, like last week or the week before that. And you're going to see more of that, more than likely, especially when rent becomes due. In the meantime, it does seem like there will be no digital comics. I just did a video the other day talking about DC Comics. Those plans have changed. We're going to get into that. But first, Image Comics confirms no digital or print books for April 1st. Then you have DC Comics releasing select digital comics, no Batman. This is different than what I just did a video on the other day. So retailers got mad. There was backlash. They changed their ideas on that. So now they're going to just be doing collections and digital first books only. So there's like a Batman, the animated series continuation. That was always going to be a digital only comic book. So that's coming out. But as far as releasing Batman 92 and some other titles that they were going to do, that's done. They're not going to do that. Okay, they're going to stop, which is good. So one thing in the past story, I said from what I understood, they weren't doing returns. They were going to do returnability. So when printing books, so when the comic book shops open back up, the books that would have came out April 1st, the printable ones, they would have been able to return those. But here's the thing: they still have to pay the money to Diamond, and then go through a whole process to get that money back from DC. On top of that, the books are now, in the eyes of a lot of people, worthless because they're old. It's just a hassle. You're hurting comic book shops by releasing them in the first place. Unless you can find a way to get the books to a shop, don't release them digitally until you figure out what you're going to do. Are you going to go digital platform? Then move forward with that. You're going to stop doing printable books. But for right now, comic book shops are hurting. It was a bad announcement, and they backtracked on it. Marvel is doing the same thing. They waited till like the last minute to announce this. So I think they were sitting there kind of thinking about it. They more than likely saw the backlash that DC was getting because retailers were pissed. So likely they said, hey, all right, look, we're not going to do it. And now things have ground to a halt for both businesses. And that's pretty much a wrap for now. Now, the real question is, where do they go moving forward? I think they are going to figure out a way to put together a new distribution network, or they'll just ship the comics themselves. So they all have printers they use. They'll get there and they'll just start fulfilling the books themselves in some way. Here's the problem, though, is that brings in a lot of costs. Now, I don't know how much they pay Diamond to ship versus just doing their own plans. But like I said before, AT&T and Disney, this is like new bills they have to add in. Will this cause irritation? I don't know. There's a lot of really interest. This is why I said, I find this interesting to see what's going to happen to these companies because, for one, this isn't some Hollywood company. Remember, Marvel and DC aren't connected to their entertainment sides of their TVs and their movies. They're their own thing. The comic books divisions are their own thing. So they're not quite as coveted as their money-making counterparts like the movies and the animated series. The comics really don't make anything. They're seen as boutiques. In fact, I think DC was seen as like 2.7% of revenue for Warner Brothers or something like that. I think it was like $300 million is all they bring to the table. That's kind of a drop in the bucket to Warner Brothers. I would imagine Marvel would probably be about the same amount of money. That's a drop in the bucket to Papa Disney. So, you know, where things go from here, I don't know. We'll see. But like I said, I'll keep you informed. I think this stuff is really interesting to watch. Finally, let's start off with some trash, or let's end things with some trash fire here. That writer for She-Hulk, well, she's been at it again, this time taking some shots at Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, which to me is fine. It's a horrible movie, not a very good movie. It's a mess that you need to buy downloadable DLC to really understand. You need to read the Star Wars novelization book. You need to read some comics. You need to read that visual dictionary. All kinds of stuff to really understand the mess of that movie. That movie's a mess. So you need to watch and read all kinds of crap just to get the full story. So here's what's funny, though. She puts this tweet out here. That thing I can't talk about is going to be like Rise of Skywalker. It's a nightmare. It's going to be a struggle. But then we're going to get to come out the other side and pretend it never happened. This, of course, enraged people on her side of the fence. They got mad as hell, called it insensitive and all kinds of stuff. She's been on such a roll with them with her hot takes lately. This, of course, did not go very well, and she ended up deleting it. I find that absolutely hilarious. So she did get a little bit of a cancellation there, but I'm sure she'll make a Men Are Trash tweet or something and get right back in good graces with them. So congratulations to her for making a fool of herself there. It was very funny to see, at least in my opinion. So anyway, that's pretty much it. What's going to happen to the comic book industry? I don't know, but I'll keep you guys filled in. I've been following this closely, so we'll see what happens. Got another video coming up later today, so stay tuned for that. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this. Do you think Comics will survive? Do you think Diamond will get replaced? Do you think Diamond will just open back up and be fine? What are your thoughts on that? What do you think about that She-Hulk writer? What do you think on her? What do you think about the comment she made? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Also, if you would throw a like up, that would be appreciated. And share the video. That would be appreciated. Make sure you still subscribe. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, and stay safe. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out. Also, take a moment. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. There's something going on right now, and they've been unsubscribing people. So just take a second and double check on that, and subscribe if you're new.